Surprise,
Oh, I
surprise.
know what you want. I know what you want.
All right, so you know what? I'm going to go ahead and call up our next panel. Actually, I'm going to have Pro be on that as well.
Okay.
Because actually, one of our panelists is a music supervisor for
What?
Casino Hall. So we want to continue this conversation, right? As well as talk about how to create long-term success through the decades. Because that's the name of our next panel.
Oh, because I'm old. I see. I see where this is going. I see where this is going.
Whatever. Age does not matter, guys. It does not.
Tell my knees and my back that.
Hey, you were complaining about lifting one. All right. So, without further ado, I want you guys to definitely stand up and welcome our next guest. We have Steve Major from Odyssey and AEI Development. And we also have Bruce Sterling from AEI Development, who is a music advisor, musical director, and an artist developer.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, brother. Hey, I'm humbled. I'm humbled. Hey, what?
Check, 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 check.
1, 2, 1.
All right.
Hey, hold on a second. Y'all like this?
Yeah, that I was vibing to that.
Y'all like this? So here's the story behind this. I get a text from my 16-year-old daughter today, like this morning, and she goes, "Dad, we had to create this for a class project. What do you think?" And I was listening to my car, and I was blown away, and I was like, "Yo,
That's fire.
this
That's
is
fire.
fire!
Yeah, that's fire.
Like, this is fire!" You know? So
This
she
is a proud
created
dad
this
right there. It's a proud dad right there.
at Sierra Vista High School today.
What's your daughter's name? What's your daughter's name?
Eliza?
Elijah. Hey, you let her know we said, yeah.
It
she,
was fire.
She gets a stamp.
Oh, yeah.
She gets
yeah,
my
yeah.
stamp
Nice.
on it. I'm going to stamp it.
You paid it for me at the. He picked me up at the airport. I said, "Who's this?" That's my
Yeah,
daughter.
I was like, "Yo," I said, "Bruce, I want you to listen to something." He's like, "Nah, man, I gotta I'm trying to just decompose. I'm trying to just." I said, "This is gonna get you to that point where you can just chill, right?" And he was like, "Yeah."
All right. So I'm going to just go ahead and tell a quick story. Remember how I told you guys that I built tribes, right? So I'm going to tell you, remember I told you guys that I went to Musician Institute and I figured out that the best way to network is WORK, right? So this man, Bruce, right here, was one of the speakers that came to my class. And I was just blown away by what he was saying, that I was literally like, please let me work for you. Like, what do you need done? I'll figure it out. I'll Google it. I'll YouTube it. Please let me just work with you. So I am just so happy to finally be able to do this because he's literally my first mentor, guys, 13 years ago.
yeah. Now you just told him how old I am. So I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, V, and I want to do something real quick before we even start. I want you guys to give yourself a hand for being here. Because that's where it starts. It really does. It starts with you having the passion to want to do this. Because unfortunately, our industry has changed a lot, quite a lot. And what we grew up doing as far as passion and just doing it for the music, it's the same thing, but unfortunately there's a lot of caveats now that has kind of weakened the heart of what music really is. And I've been excited about what I've been hearing lately because, I kind of thought things were getting lost in the music because, you got to remember, I come from a school where musicians were playing on their instruments. They're actually communicating with notes, knowing where they were. And I'm just talking about the foundation start here, okay? I mean, right now you guys could probably just walk all circles all over me in regards to the computer and knowing how to put the sounds here. And I mean, I've seen some phenomenal creators as far as music's concerned. But the one thing I was telling V, I said, one thing I don't want to get lost is the fact of where this all came from. 'Cause if we lose that, that's the part that it's just like with technology and everything else, yes. But now, how does it feel to actually be in the same room versus me being on a screen and trying to tell you the same thing I'm about to tell you? You're not going to feel that passion. See what I'm saying? So I was excited about this whole thing because I was really moved by how long I've known V for about quite a long time, actually.
I said 13 years.
Yeah. Anyway.
Bruce is trying not to age
Well,
himself.
put it this way. She knew me because she went to a panels class just like this, and then walked up to me at the end of the day and said, "Hey, how do I learn how to do what you do?" I said, "Well, roll your sleeves up and let's get started." And that was it. That's all I did. I said, "Look, I'm going to tell you right, it's not glamorous. It's definitely a lot of hard work, and it's going to be a lot of letdowns."
We definitely rolled our sleeves up and our pants up, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But Pro here, I actually wanted Pro to be up here because he just gave, even I still am learning, just so you understand. It's never at a point where you're not learning. But I'm telling you now, what he had, the information he gave you, I wish I had when I was doing music supervising and doing music and placing stuff. Now, I'm not going to get into credits because...
But I think you should.
Yeah, just a few. Come on.
Well, okay, all right. That's all good. I ain't gonna trip. Okay. Because she knows I'm very low-key DL. You know what I'm saying? But I've probably worked with some of the biggest artists that you've ever listened to.
Not probably.
Right.
Yeah, I have.
But still do.
Christina Aguilera, Adele, Beyonce. We can go, what?
Karen White.
Karen White. I can go into even some hip-hop, Kid Ink. I can go into some other artists such as Ty Dolla $ign. Matter of fact, and the thing about it, guys, who lately, this is a trip because this is going to blow your mind right now. Who saw the Kanye documentary?
You better.
Who's all seen it? I hope everybody in this room has seen it. Seriously. Okay, well, if you haven't seen it, you got to go see it. It's right on Netflix. Easy to see. But the funny thing about that whole thing was, the first part of it was amazing. Second part was amazing. And, of course, it was sad on the third part. But the second part blew me away because I'm up here watching the actual documentary when Kanye went to Jamie Foxx's house to use his studio. Now, I also worked with Jamie Foxx. I worked with Lenny Kravitz. I actually built Lenny Kravitz's first studio in downtown. And that was the kind of guy I was. There wasn't just one job I did. I did everything that got me in. Everything. If I had to pick up nails and some hammers to help you build your studio, Lenny, I'm here. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I got a lot of secrets, but I can't tell you those. But anyway, what was really great about growing up with all these major artists is that if I saw them down the street at a Cheesecake Factory, Beyonce would come and give me a hug. If I saw Lenny on red carpet, he would stop and give me a hug. Jamie Foxx would come up to me and say, "Man, where you been?" So, it's like I do what I do, and then I walk away. Because that's who I've always been. I've always been about getting my people to hear, and then if they want to remember me, so be it. If they don't, no love lost, because I'm just happy to see you up there. And I could go through another list of all people. Jada Pinkett, I put her band together. what I ended up happening is that I ended up putting an agency together with Randy Jack.
See, that's what he get for talking. See,
Right.
He mentioned Jada Pinkett.
Hey. Hey.
Oh. Keep my wife's mouth out of your mouth.
See, that was the energy of Will Smith. That smack came all the way from L.A. Boom.
That's funny. But and I could go on and on. A matter of fact, I'm actually one of the original Sector Chocolate musicians on the movie Coming to
So
America.
wait.
hold
Check this
up,
out. Check this
hold
out.
up.
Check this out. So, Coming to America, right? Y'all saw the first one, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Now, I didn't even know. I had no clue. But where I caught the clue, for the second time I was watching Coming to America Part 2. And I'm sitting up there, and I do business with this cat all the time. And I'm sitting up there, and I'm like, Bruce, what you? Bruce, you want Coming to America? He's like, man, that's old news.
I didn't say it like that.
Yes,
I
you
just
did.
said.
He's like,
I just said.
"Man,
Oh, I didn't tell you. But it's funny you brought that up. Let me just go right into that second one because this goes to what Pro was saying about doing your due diligence of knowing people and keeping information. So the woman that called me, her name is Mary Jo Braun. She's actually the music executive director at Paramount. So she actually called me up looking for me and the band, the musicians, right? So the whole way we got the first one is because a gentleman in my band, his name is Jeff Suttles, he actually was a drummer, and he actually worked for the director. His name was John Landis. He used to drive him around and everything. So he said, John one day said, man, I need a band for this scene. Okay, well, I have a band. So he called us. We did the first one, which was amazing. I mean, they did it in Glendale. They shot it at this high school, and the outtakes that you didn't see with Eddie Murphy and Arsenio, all of them just tripping, was amazing. So it's like, and everything most of the time is on the fly with those guys, right? So all that stuff that you watch on the movies is sometimes not always the script is how they wrote it. But anyway, and I'm leading to something right now in regards to how spontaneity of how things can happen when you're and if you're not ready. The door can close so fast. So that's the main thing what I was excited about what Pro was talking about. You doing your due diligence with split sheets and having anything ready, because when it comes down to it, they think that fast. It's a moment of a phone call, and they're like, "We like the track you did. Is it available? Can we get it?" That's it. And next thing you know, legal's dealing with whatever they're doing with you use the tune, and boom, it's done.
ABR.
Yeah, I had to actually
Always be ready.
Yeah, exactly. I actually had to do this for a live TV show as a music supervisor with Arsenio Hall show. And I had to clear songs like almost immediately. Man, let me tell you something. I'll tell you a quick story of that too, because I want you need to hear everything right now, and I'm just trying not to take too much time. But
Preach.
How much time we got? We good? Okay,
Preach.
go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
all right, so real quick, the clearing situation. Now, there was a song I had to clear that Rodney Jerkins, the producer. You guys familiar with him?
Yep.
Okay, so it was him. He had some other writers, and we had about 8 people on the song. Okay, 8. So the splits were crazy. Rodney had his, and then you had every little person that did what they did. They had a piece, right? There was one piece that was given to this old lady in Florida. She lived in Florida. She was the grandmother of one of the writers on the song, and he put her name on to have the piece of that song. So of course I'm calling everybody. I'm getting everybody. We're down. We got 6. We go down to 7. Okay, we're almost there. Because we got to shoot the show. The show goes on the same day. I'm trying to clear everything. Because they decide I want to do this song now. So it's like things are split minute. Just like that's how it works. But what happened was this sweet little grandmother, I called her. I don't know how I got the number. Oh, yeah, I got the number from Rodney. Rodney gave me the phone number. I called her to tell her, can we have your permission to use the song because we need to do this song and they're going to do it. And look, at this point, it's the only thing that they can do. They can't switch the song or nothing. So I had to get this thing cleared. It was my job. Bottom line, that sweet little lady goes, what's up, baby? Mrs. Johnson, I just need you to know, can we use this song? Well, I need you to tell me verbally, and I can use it, and I can get all the paperwork done later. Sure, baby, I can do it. No problem. She only had 2% of the song. But that 2% held up the song. That's my point. It's like if you got some friend working with you in the studio, and he said, I was there when the song got written, believe me, he's going to be thinking about a percentage for himself. So you got to be careful and know your situation. When you walk into the room and say, okay, because believe me, this happens all day long. People get in the studio with their friends, they're hanging out, because he brought the beers, I want to get you in, and da-da-da, it happens. But you got to be really smart. And how I usually used to do this, I would assign somebody to help me, take the piece of information that's in the room, say, listen, we need to just get your information to know what's going on happening with this song, if it happens. There's no guarantee, but be careful. And so, yeah. So I would be very diligent about that because what Pro was talking about can be your life. It could take away your opportunity like that. Because what can happen is they like the song and you're holding this up, guess what? Okay, go to the next one. Next song.
But you know what? That's the one thing that artists really don't think about in the beginning is the business part of this.
True.
That's the one thing that we preach all the time is that when you're starting what you're doing, and there's a young man in the audience, I just had this conversation with him about 7 months ago, you got to build your brand and build your corporation. So that in the beginning, when you're going into that studio like Bruce was just talking about, you're having all those documents and everything in line and ready because in your mind, you want this to go up here. So if it's going up here, you don't want anything to stop you. So have all those paperworks and documents ready and ready to go so that you don't have to do a Bruce Sterling and go back to that little old lady and say, Miss Johnson, sure, baby. Because he's lucky. I mean,
that was pure luck.
That was
pure blessings.
Luck.
I mean, that could have been a real big mess because that means the song wasn't going to be able to get played and aired that day. So they could have pulled the song or they could have pulled the performance, and that would have destroyed the whole show. So, any case, and that's funny why it's funny that Pro's nickname is Pro because
thank you. I'm humble.
Who all knows what PRO stands for?
Do you guys know what that is?
That's right.
Young and selfish.
Yes,
Shout out.
exactly. And a lot of people, when I talk to them, they say, wow, what's that? Because, most musicians, singers, and artists today think, I do a song, I put it on Spotify, it works, done. No, it doesn't that way. I mean, at least you could do that, but at the end of the day, you're not going to get paid. You know what I'm saying? It's like you just put music up there for free. So we always preach this part about, get the performance rights set up. Your publishing, get your writers set up. Even if you, as a writer, get set up with, with CSAC or BMI or ASCAP. Those are the main three. Now, there's some new ones out there that are trying to buy up catalogs. And, like right now, I'll tell you about a company called that was created by a manager named Irving Azoff. And he just set up a publishing thing where all the publishing that on the artist that he manages is set up through his publishing thing. Now, that's really against the law. Right. But the way he did it was brilliant. But he owns Bruno Mars's publishing. He owns Christina Aguilera's. I mean, list goes on and on. Now, because I want to just make sure you understand, and I wanted to stay on this topic because this is the most part where you can really make your money. Because right now, selling, just so you know, and I'm not trying to blow your bubble, but selling CDs, unless you're going to do the whole thing like Master P, selling it out your trunk, selling CDs or selling whatever music on Spotify that doesn't give you but a nickel, it's not going to make you rich. And that's why I came today too, because see, most of the artists that I've worked with, like, which actually one of them that we're honoring today, I've worked with them since they were babies. TLC, I started with them. I started with Aaron Hall from Guy. Started with all the artists that you can think of right now. Anybody that you can think of right now, and let's just go back maybe 10 years, I probably worked with them, at least, in some capacity. And the way I started is because most of the musicians that were, or the artists back then would go on these TV shows like Arsenio Hall, Jay Leno, and all those. They didn't have a band. So I used to put a band behind these artists, which is what the labels would do, is call me for that reason, because they knew if it was 48 hours, I could turn it around. Because I knew all the musicians all over the country. And that's where I found a little niche for myself, a little boutique agency that only dealt with musicians and singers. And basically we even expanded to dancers. But at the same time, there was nobody speaking for musicians. Musicians weren't even having anybody to rep them. So that's why I came up with the idea of that process. And and just so you know, it's needed today. I mean, and if you guys are musicians or whatever, go out for those auditions. The artists today are trying to get back to what we used to do musically, which is really great. I'm happy to see that. No more, nothing against trap, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying real music has to survive if we're gonna have our kids grow up understanding where this all came from, really. So, I don't know, some of you might have had your parents used to play Al Green and all these different artists back in the day, and you came up knowing what real melodies and stuff was.
All these faces in here just said, "Who is Al Green?"
Yeah, they were like, "What?"
We don't know who Al Green is.
Right. Well, you can rest assured Beyonce knew who he was, and look where she is. And we came up in an era that music was important, and it still is. But if we don't go back to some of the roots of music, and I mean, knowing what chord you're playing, you know what I'm saying? What note you just played, and actually knowing how colors work, all that information, even if, and I'm granted, I know you're against the wall. There's no programs in schools. There's nothing out there really other than you maybe taking up lessons to really understand how to do it. Now, I commend some of the musicians I've been seeing on YouTube lately and TikTok, and these guys are learning right from the digital world, which is amazing. But you also want to know what you're playing. Because at the end of the day, like later on, I have to go to a rehearsal for the Grammys, and one of my major musical directors is the musical director for the pre-Grammy event. And I brought him up through my agency. He was a little skinny little Argentinian guy, amazing, okay? Found himself playing for Christina Aguilera. Found himself on stage on world tours. I put Pink's band together. I put some of the biggest artists today who are real musicians, and they had a career, okay? Lenny Kravitz, Mark Anthony, I put his band together. I put many acts.
So what I'm getting, the bars that I got, right? Number one, be prepared. Number two, really learn your craft. Don't bullshit that around. You want to make this into a business, learn music.
Right.
Right? Because once again, it goes back to the whole networking behind the scenes, right? You want to be that person that's leading any project. you got to know all aspects of the project. You got to know what to tell your band. I've seen Bruce work with these bands, and he is so particular about that. So I do want to ask you, because Steve here is actually on the radio side of things. So because we are talking about music
But
supervising. and
you want to hear something interesting?
What?
So even though I'm on the radio and marketing side, my degree in college was music performance and education. So I can read and I can hear. I play 4 different instruments. So coming up on that radio side, it was just something different I wanted to do, right? And then I'm a DJ too, right, on the side. But what she's talking about, even me on the radio side, I know music because I studied music in college and in high school. So there's that concept of connection, if you may say, right?
Yeah, completely. So when it comes to paperwork, there's a few questions actually, but when it comes to paperwork for you, Steve,
Yo.
Whenever you guys play music on the radio, is it the same thing? You got to clear it right away, or like how does that work exactly? Because I've never worked at a radio station.
So this is the $1 million question. So let me just say
G-Minor.
this real quick. G-Minor, where you at, man?
He right in the corner.
What up, dope? What up, man? You know what? Here's the thing. And G-Minor is privileged to work for a locally owned radio station, Hot 97.5. Let's get it up to Hot 97.5, y'all.
Yeah.
So those of us that walk in the light, and I was just over there with you, bruh, and now I'm back over in the corporate light at Odyssey. Talk about clearing. Like your local radio stations that are on that corporate infrastructure, you can't clear music through that local channel. So our clearinghouse for music is out of New York or Philadelphia or Dallas or Miami. You know what I'm saying? So when I was working for iHeart, I get approached 1 million times with that question and people saying, I want to get my music on the air, right? So there's this email address and you take your information and you send it to the radio clearinghouse with millions of others doing the same thing. So how many times do you think yours is going to get seen or noticed? Zero. So I have a theory. I have a solution to that. But I guess we'll get into that in a minute, right? If you want to get into it now? Okay.
You guys want to hear the solution, right? I know.
Absolutely.
So the solution to that is this. We talked about earlier about being your own business. Do I have to get up here? Can I stand? Because I heard that static. I don't want Jada and Will knock my mic out my hand. But the solution is, first, have your stuff ready, right? Because what you can do as an artist is you can push your own stuff out on these platforms and market your own stuff. Like, for instance, just today, I had an artist reach out to me from North Carolina, right, an agency. And they gave me the commercial for the artist. I don't like the commercial, but they get the idea of what I'm trying to push, market your product. Because what Bruce was talking about is if you put it on Spotify and you don't have all that other stuff ready, but guess what? If you put it on Spotify and you don't have the stuff on the marketing side ready, you're never gonna make any money. So all I'm saying is, and it's a simple solution, make sure that you put marketing in your budget. Because today you can market on TikTok, you can market on Instagram, you can market digitally across platform everywhere in the world that will take people back to that platform to buy your product. And that's how you get those points. That's how you make the money, right? So it's marketing. It's simple. It's easy. You got to put the money into it. You got to put the money into where the people are. So this artist that I'm talking about, Bruce, that agency that we're going to hook up with tomorrow for the gaming stuff with Damien. Oh, yeah. So they gave me this commercial. And I asked him, I said, and he has the same, wait, Major, who's the young lady that sang? Is she still here?
Demir Major?
By the way, the talent that performed
Demir
today
Major,
was amazing.
we loved your performance.
Shout out.
I was graced. I was like, another Major. Oh, yeah.
You guys might be related. I'm just saying.
So no, and I know this is like the third major because it's me and then it's
There's another
Demir.
major here, the
Is there another
photographer,
major?
videographer.
So this dude that does music out of North Carolina, his name is Keith Major. So we're vibing, right? And I'm like, yo, Keith. I said, man, listen. I said, we got that same concept down for marketing music, right? So why the computer-generated voice? So here's the biggest problem that most artists have with advertising their music, because they want to get it played on the radio so bad that all you hear is the music and you don't hear the message. So my advice to everybody in this room is that when you're putting together advertising and marketing, come to me.
Boom.
I'm the genius. No, my advice to everybody in this room is when you're putting together that message, you make sure that the person on the other end of the radio or audio device, we don't call it radio anymore, it's called audio, okay? Audio everywhere, anywhere. Make sure that we can hear it so that I can say, yo, Demir Major, I'm vibing her. Let me go to Apple or her website or whatever and get her music. So don't get so caught up and excited about your music that you don't let the message be presented where we can buy or get your music.
That goes right back to what PRO is saying about quality and the content, how you present it. I mean, really, you can't have any, at this point in the game, you can't have any flaws that's going to make it a problem for the buyer to want to buy. And that's what really is buying music right now, as far as when it comes to TV and film placement right now, that's keeping a revenue stream coming in. That's that world right now. So he's really the guy to know, because seriously.
Wait, we need to do some classes.
I'm saying,
man.
I'm humbled.
Do some classes.
I can't even respond
No,
to either
no.
one.
But honestly, you really, you kind of kept, you kept it really short and simple, and that's exactly what it needs to be, short and simple. When you present your music, don't think you got to give me 20 songs to hear because you want to hear, I sound different here though. Check this out on this one. And then this song here, I did something on the verse, and then check this out. There's a lyric content on this one. No.
But wait, every artist is their own biggest fan.
Right. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
And nobody's down in that. What we're trying to tell you is to figure out how to to get your music bought without it being a cost issue. And you can do it. You can do it if you just do it smart. Keep it simple. Give me maybe 1.5 minute of the song so I can get an idea of it. And then what he said about scenes, watch these shows, man. Watch these shows, All American. Watch Snowfall. Watch all these shows are using your music. So you get ideas from this. I guarantee you, you're going to start seeing a change in your life with your music and how you're placing it.
Can I?
Hey.
I have to
Yes.
piggyback
Go
just
ahead.
real quick. The watching is so important, and that goes for the gaming. Even if you're not a gamer, you can watch your kids, cousins, nieces, nephews game. When you're watching advertisements, TV, film, this is the thing. If you know an athlete that's up and coming, like middle school, high school age, they watch sports like an athlete. Most music creators that I know that are up and coming, they do not watch content like someone that wants to sync music. You have to watch it that way. I just wanted to pick it because that's
Well, hold on a second. Bruce, a good case study of that is the song that I played earlier with my daughter. Now, my daughter is a TikTok goddess, right? But think about this. Don't age yourself out, because you have competition that's coming up behind you that's fierce. Okay? Because these kids maneuver in this TikTok space like
Man.
no other.
I can't keep up. I don't. And I don't try to keep up. I seriously, I don't, because my thing is, this is your world now. The youth, this is your world now. We're just here to guide you to not to make the mistakes. And that's what it is, simple. And when PRO said the other day, not the other day, but what you just said about the whole thing with the listening,
how you listen.
listen and watch. I mean, how many of us go when you're watching TV, you get up and the commercial comes on?
Guilty.
and walk to the
Fast
kitchen.
forward.
I just
Or
lost
grab
some
something,
tears.
whatever. You know? So, just so you know, the half of the revenue stream of during COVID was generated by commercials. Okay? And if you listen, like for instance, there's a Whole Foods commercial I heard the other day and watched. It wasn't a big deal. And to be honest with you, some of you that are getting into music and visual, like editing, because that's part of it too. You have to start looking at gambits of ways how to make your music relevant. And I guarantee you that's another thing you should get into as far as getting to editing video. Editing your own videos, you know what I'm saying? Maybe this is what I used to do, and I'm still doing it right now. I'm actually doing it from technology. So who all knows what screen recording is? Okay, and if you have an iPad or an iPhone, you know you can record, right? The actual visual. So imagine this. Take that visual, record it on your iPhone or whatever you use. Delete the audio and put your audio on it.
I like that. That's good practice.
And see how it works. See, now you start seeing, wow, my song works perfect for this commercial.
So do we just tag them?
No, you don't tag them, but because
I would.
no, the way it works is to give you guys ideas. Yes. Right, because to be honest with you. Right, exactly. See, and then see how his creative juices are coming out now, and that's my point about what technology has done, is help us with that, using our brains differently, versus just how do I get my song on the radio so I can become as big as Drake?
So let's take a step back real quick because
Yeah.
we were talking about how to get your stuff on the radio.
Yes.
Which today is virtually impossible unless you know a DJ named G Minor or CO1 and they'll play it in their mixes. But look, in all realness, everybody, when you're going to any type of radio station, whether it's Hot or any corporation or anything like that, you got to be well put together. Yep. I was talking to this young man when I was out in California a few months back, and I listened to his stuff. One thing that I want to add to PRO's take. Pro. Can I call you Pro?
Either way.
Can I call you
way.
Pro? All
I'm
right.
feeling it.
He said, I think it was something about having somebody listen or, submitting it or something like that. But my point to what I'm trying to say to his point is have an experienced ear. Hear it before you submit it. Because a non-biased, experienced ear, that's not your family, not your girlfriend or your wife, your husband, none of your friends, somebody who you don't even know, but possibly could respect, right? Being in the industry, let them listen to your product because they're going to give you positive and very real advice, a very real critique to what you need to do so that you're not wasting your time or your money. Because the biggest thing that you could do in this industry is exhaust yourself earlier on, putting a whole lot of money somewhere that you're not ready to put out yet. Okay? So my advice to everybody in this room, take this with you, take it home. If you got product, if you got music, if you got something that you want to put out there, have somebody that is experienced to look at it and hear it so they can critique you in a professional way.
So let me ask you this, because obviously we have a phenomenal group of people here. Would you guys be open to listen to some of their music and giving that?
I charge $5 an hour. I take tips. No,
That's the thing that hasn't stopped for me, artist developing and listening to new talent coming up. So my ear is still there. I'm glad I still can hear. And I mean,
Take it
you
for
know what,
granted.
Bruce?
Yeah.
Just for today, though, I think the question that she's asking, we can say yes to. Yeah.
If they say yes, I say yes.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I was supposed to give you guys an email if you have what qualifies to
there, I
be
think.
submitted for that brief, then you could come talk to me afterwards.
Yeah, I think
I'll
it-
have a conversation.
Guys,
I think the email was up there too when you were
Was
talking.
it up there?
Yeah, I saw it. yeah.
I was too engaged. My bad.
I took the email down. Serious. Shoot.
No, he did more than take it
I'm
down.
humble.
He took a picture of it. He's
I'm
like,
humble.
I won't remember
I'm humble.
this.
I'm humble. I had to be on my A game because these gentlemen were in the building. So
No,
you know.
but really on a note, because I really want to just get everything to you as much as I can while we're up here. The main thing right now, guys, is like he said, research. Know your industry. Know who's out there. You know, there's stuff out there that's free. All you gotta do is Google it. You know what I'm saying? Google music supervisors. Okay, what are they doing? You know, I mean.
But have all that stuff ready before you even
course.
remotely
Exactly.
present that.
Of course.
So, did you guys see Mark Hanson earlier today? My boy. Did you know that he used to be Young Kino?
I didn't
Right?
know that.
We definitely talk about
We
that.
talked about that. And V and I and his manager and him, like, I'm going to have him on my podcast because that was a dope conversation that we had on Zoom about how he rebranded himself. But he rebranded himself to be relevant to the times. He was this handsome debonair dude that was supposed to be like, you know, the female. So he's researching as he goes. He's like, man, you know, Young Kino can't be that debonair guy. You know, Young Kino is like this thugged out, you know, street dude. You know, I got to go with the flow and I got to be relevant. So he started researching. And he's like, well, dang, Handsome, Mark Hanson. He did a full rebrand, okay? Now talk about a cat that had everything out there. Young Kino has so much content out there. He went to every platform, removed it, right? And rebranded on a whole new platform, Mark Hanson. So the other day before we did this, he sent me his EPK. And I'm like, this is how it's supposed to be done. In that EPK was his bio, was pictures of him, was a few songs, not 25 songs, but this
Exactly.
brother had 2 songs, right? Like, was his hottest hits. And then, of course, somebody like me, I'm like, well, let me do a little Google. Okay, Google, Mark Hanson. And then I get on YouTube this track that he did with Jim Ross. And I was like, this is dope. This is dope. But the point that I'm making here is this. He's an industry guy who also understands that you got to have your stuff packaged right before you represent it, not only to the public, but to these guys and to us, all right? All we're saying today, have your stuff together. Have everything packaged up. If you think that you're not a model as an artist, guess what? You are. You are. If you think that you're not a spokesperson, guess what? You are. Because get this, it's people like me that will look at an artist and be like, yo, Bruce, I think I can get an endorsement deal for this cat right here. Can we go to, you know, like maybe Chipotle?
And that's where the money
$1 million
is.
deal?
Branding, guys. Just so you understand, you need to connect with brands. Brands that are everyday living with people. I mean, if you notice, during COVID, we started seeing some of the artists that you like Doja Cat and SZA and all of them were doing all these commercials for like Burger King.
Who likes Corona?
And Corona? Yeah, look at
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop.
Snoop
Yeah.
is like, this can is called
He's
Slim.
a master.
My old
Yeah,
nickname,
yeah.
right?
Well, right now he's just blowing up the game as far as associating with all the brands, and he basically it took a minute for him to even understand that. I mean, because when we had Snoop on our show, you know, first thing you say when you have, and I'm talking about Arsenio Hall, when we had first thing you say when you got Snoop on your show, oh Lord, we're gonna have to bring in some cleaning people because it's gonna smell up the whole building. Because the whole building gonna be. And let me tell you, they even had a trailer to off the stage, off site, and you still smelled it. So it's okay. I mean, look, that's Snoop. That's his brand. You know what I'm saying? And that's who he is. So and kudos for look at all the corporations that are still associating themselves with him, even though he has a brand. You know, that not corporate America, but it is
Even
still
though he
good.
wore that big bandana on the big game stage.
Right.
Bro, you saw that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw it.
They told him, they said, okay, you can't wear your bandana in your back pocket.
Right.
So he said, I'm going to wear the whole outfit.
And he crip walked. I was like,
And he
dude.
crip walk.
I'm like, man, please don't get hurt up there. But anyway, and it's, but you know what? It was actually a kind of what they say? What's the word? Double entendre, where he actually was wearing blue in a blood neighborhood.
Dang, I'm surprised you knew that. How'd you know that, Bruce?
I
From
grew up in
LA?
Inglewood. I grew up.
Inglewood?
I grew up I actually grew up with Snoop and all of those guys because Dre actually his first gig when he started DJing. I worked with Egyptian Lover, and he used to work in
Shout out
his
Egyptian
studio.
Lover, bro. He's underrated.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I could tell you stories for years of time gone by, and the one thing, I mean, I was there when they shot Biggie. I was there with Quick. Yeah, I was there with DJ Quick, and we were at the party for Quincy. And next thing you know, I see people running. I'm like, what happened? They said Biggie got shot. I was like, oh my God. I mean, look, there's 30, maybe 40 year plus up here as far as of history with me. And I came up at the best time because music was just raw and it was done in so many different ways. And because I was a musician myself, I play keys, but I was also a musical director for a lot of different. Matter of fact, I was a musical director on BET Live. I don't know if you guys ever watched Who in the Hell Left the Gate Open with John Sally. Okay, I was the MD for that. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff I could talk about, and I don't mind talking about it after because I don't want to take up everybody's time. But
you know what? If you guys want to have a small conversation with Bruce,
I'm here.
He's here.
I'm here.
I think I told some cats earlier, like, this guy's an icon, right? He's a
Real
legend
talk.
in the
Real
business.
talk.
Yeah, no, and believe me, as he says that, it's like I think about it. It's like I never really thought I would be able to say that when I was coming up. I was like, because I wasn't thinking about it like that. I was just passionate about music, and it found me. Music people found me, and that's what you're gonna understand about you being true to the game. They're gonna find you. Believe me, they will find you.
So Bruce, you just said something very interesting, and it bleeds over to marketing and branding and everything. Right before we toss it back to V, you got to have passion. Because your music reflects who you are. If you're just doing it to make a buck, you're in the wrong industry. You really are.
Especially now.
Everybody sees.
Then
look,
you had a chance. Back in the day, you had a chance. But now, the way things are so structured, it's hard to get that money.
Yep.
It's hard to get that cash.
well, it's harder today than it was back in the day because I think
That's
you were
what I'm
telling me
saying.
a story about T-Boz and TLC, how like their first 8 or 9 years they made no money.
And you know who else you'll be surprised about that was bankrupt? And now is a billionaire? She's considered a billionaire now? Rihanna. I remember when she first got the Umbrella song out. And she was doing well. So she wasn't making her money because she had signed to a production company. But she wasn't working. She wasn't seeing her lyric content and stuff that she did. It was all going to, which again, you got to be smart and know who's on your record because they're the ones getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Not you if you're just the artist singing it.
Isn't the artist the last one to get paid?
That's what they say, and it's true. But the thing about Rihanna, she was smart and she got out of her deal. And even today it's happening. Megan Thee Stallion. And I'll give you another person who went through 8 people owning her music before she was able to get out of her deal, and that's Lady Gaga. 8 people were on her record except her. The first 2. So look, there's a lot of dues to be paid. I get it, and everybody sees the stardom, and they don't see the administration part of it, which is the part that gets you paid.
But that goes to my point earlier, and correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen. If you as an artist, I'm going to use Young and Selfish for an example, because this is what I told him. I said, go and incorporate yourself, LLC yourself. Young and Selfish LLC, right? Now, he as an artist has this business structure. that now when he walks into places like that Bruce is talking about, everything is now structured in a business capacity. So he's protected. So think about that. Think business-wise. Think in your mind that this has to be first. The music is my love. The music is my passion. But it is a business. It is a business that you're going into, a business of beast. And if you don't do it right, you'll get taken out.
Agreed.